And we're back. I'm your host, BKP, and joining us now on the line, Georgia 9th Congressional District Congressman Doug Collins. Good morning, Congressman. How are you? I can't complain. Let's get right into it. The time is short, so I understand it's over in the Senate, but the controversy and the hearing tomorrow for Judge Kavanaugh, how is that affecting midterms, the election? What are you seeing? What are Republicans seeing, and what are some of the concerns going into midterms that may be causing, or there's caution that Republicans are looking at? How do you guys see that?
Well, I think from just a general perspective, the Senate is, we trust the Senate to handle in fairness to all parties involved, and I think they'll handle that tomorrow. I think from your question basically dealing with how it's affecting elections, I think really goes to the base on both sides. I think it really, from a perspective of a Republican base, of course, there's, the desire to see, this done and Judge Kavanaugh put on the court. And at the same point in time, the Democratic base, wanting to stop that and having the issues that are involved there. So I really see it more as a base issue. And really the interesting thing about it is in many parts of the country, this is where this election is at this point. It's a base issue for both Republicans and Democrats. There's not a lot of middle ground in this election I'm seeing all across the country. So it's who's going to turn out their voters and, who's more motivated to vote in the next, over the next 45 days or so.
Well, let's move from that. But the reason I ask is, although that is over in the Senate, and that's the Senate Judiciary Committee that will be handling that tomorrow with this accusation. I mean, President of the United States said it was a Democrat con. He even spelled it out, C-O-N, con job. And some Republicans are just starting to step up and say it's not a matter of not believing this lady. It's just the fact that some of the people that are behind Christine Blasey Ford that are maybe helping her along is some of the things that some Republicans are starting to step up and acknowledge.
Yeah, I think the whole issue has been handled very poorly. I think everybody deserves to be heard. This had been out since July, but the Democrats, had held this. I mean, if they were really that concerned, they should have been a lot more done before a last-minute sort of doing in the process. So I think, like I said, we'll see how it all goes from this week perspective. And I think Senator Grassley is, being as fair as all possible. They've now scheduled a vote on Friday. They're moving forward. So we'll see how it goes from there.
Congressman, Sunday, Senator Lindsey Graham stated, he said the DOJ and FBI, a bureaucratic coup is what he called it. Speak from the House's side, where recently there's a report in the New York Times that that is being denied, but Rod Rosenstein, has said that. Hey, do you want me to wear a wire? I mean, this is an accusation made that it was said. We're looking for Rosenstein to testify. We're looking at, before Congress, we're looking for the memos from McCabe. Talk a little bit on that side of some of the things going on where the FBI and DOJ and some of the documents that's being requested.
Well, I'm glad to see the Senate's finally come aboard on what we've been seeing in the House for over a year and a half now. We've been having hearings, and we've been discussing the fact that there has been problems at DOJ, especially under the Obama, DOJ, and a lot of those folks are now gone, McCabe, Comey, or, we just named the list of issues that were over there. So I'm glad Lindsey Graham is acknowledging, what we've been seeing for a long time. Again, though, the President and Rosenstein are meeting tomorrow. We'll see what happens there. It is sort of funny now that, for the most part, we don't trust anything from the New York Times, and now we have an article that's out from the New York Times, and sort of like, some of the political commentators that have been saying, is this a setup? Are they trying to, to bait something to happen so that they can try and, an influence to say that the President's doing something? I think the President's handled this very well, as a matter of fact. I think I've been very pleased with how he's handled this issue. He's been very reserved in it. He said, I want to talk to him. I want to hear from him face to face. And that's the perfect way to handle it. So, we'll see how that goes. We're going to continue to look into it. I know the Senate, the House Judiciary Chairman, Chairman Goodlatte, has asked for the McCabe memos, to sort of see where this is going. I think we in Congress also need to realize this is also an executive executive department issue that the President, Rosenstein works for the President. And so, let's let the president handle this instead of, us up here trying to, maybe make a headline, to do something. Let's let the president work this thing through, and then we'll do our investigative role as we need to.
All right, let's talk about the spending bill. The end of the month is coming up, and I want to make sure it's clear, and I hope you already know me well enough that I'm not really quoting the New York Times as accurate. Okay, I hope we don't go away with a misunderstanding.
Oh, Brian, you've changed. You're on the New York Times list now.
No, absolutely not. But anyhow. One of their headlines this morning, is Congress bets Trump will sign bill to fund military even without the wall. Let me just ask you candidly, I mean, there's been several spending measures put in place ever since the president was inaugurated. Why are we not demanding, because the American people that voted for Donald Trump, why are we not demanding money for the border security, as the president promised the American people and Congress said, hey, we back the president? Why not?
Well, I think the biggest issue is there is border wall. The wall is being built. There is money in the bill that is coming up for. It's a continuation of what the president asked for back in March, and that continues in the CR portion of this bill. The problem is, and very blunt, and you and I've had these conversations before, the House has done it many times. The problem is frankly, you can't get it through the Senate. And so when you can't get 60 votes in the Senate to move this, or without giving away, other things, that's when you get into the problem. And then the other, flip scenario here is a shutdown, and of at least, a partial, shutdown of what we're looking at in this bill. So I think that's your issue as we move forward. Is making sure this is also to be a reason why, Republican voters ought to continue to stay motivated, why the Senate needs more help over there, why they, instead of it being a 50 vote margin over there, we should be picking up 4, 5, 6 seats over there in the Senate, and we're not, and we're right now not on track to do that. This is something that we've got to actually get out and make the case on. Here's why we're doing what we're doing, and moving forward. But also it is not accurate to say that the wall money is not in here and that money is not going to be being spent on border security. That's just not accurate. And is it as much as many of us would like? No. Do we want to get more? Yes. And frankly, we should have fixed immigration back in a few months ago, and we didn't. And when we could get border wall money, and we could get everything else, and we couldn't come to an agreement on that. So this is an issue that we're going to continue to move forward on. But also, this is also an interesting issue you and I've talked about before. You've heard me talk about for well over 7 years now, regular order. For the first time before September 30th, we're going to fund 75% of the government before September 30th. That's almost 6 or 7 appropriations bills that we've had in line, and we've done 1 in the past 10 years. So there is some progress being made. Is it everything I want to see? No. But is it something that we can move forward on? Yes.
Well, when you go to Missouri, and I understand what you're saying, and when you say we need 60 votes, we understand that's over on the Senate side, and 51 doesn't get it through, and I understand how many bills the House has over on the Senate that there's no action at all. We've discussed that so many times. But I guess what I'm looking at is, you go down to Missouri and the President of the United States packs the House and reports of something like 20,000 outside, and they're chanting build the wall, and we understand Claire McCaskill down there may not make it this time, and he goes to so many different areas and they chant build the wall. Well, you can't just fund because of a chant, but I do know strongly, I'm going to step out and say in your district, district, we want the border wall funded and we want border security done, and I even use your own words, Congressman, that you've used the analogy of, quit grabbing the mop until the pipe is fixed. And I've heard you say that many times.
I agree completely, and I think and we'll continue to push for that. I've never not wanted to and push when we had the opportunity to put more in. Again, I think it comes down to an interesting issue. You mentioned Missouri. The crazy part about that is, yes, Republican voters came out to see him, Donald Trump voters came out to see him, but also at the same point, Claire McCaskill is still, by many polls, either tied or even, or could probably win that race in Missouri. That shows you the dichotomy that the folks who didn't show up to see the president are going to vote for. There's a lot of them who are voting for Claire McCaskill for some crazy reason. So I think what we got to do is continue to keep funding the border wall. We do have that in there. There's border security in there to continue at the levels that the president had asked for back in the spring that got us through here. And then let's have a good election cycle and come back in and do this again. It's not simply a matter of saying we don't want it. I do, and security has got to be part of any solution going forward. It's how you actually get there and get it done as we go forward.
Well, I know we can get down in the weeds as far as the Democrats and obstructing, just being obstructionist and not wanting to get things solved or done. But the reality is it's election time. So Republicans out there, including yourself, what can Republicans that are trying to keep the House go out and campaign on, that are currently in Congress, go out and campaign on and say, as Republicans, send us back because we kept our word on blank, or we kept our promise here. What are Republicans able to go say to people that they want their vote?
Oh my Lord, this is probably one of the easiest things in the world. I mean, look at the rollback of regulatory burden, the congressional resolutions where we've rolled back Obama-era regulations ranging from everything from banking to the environment, where we've had the tax cut that has came in, where we have, at this point we've had Neil Gorsuch. Hopefully we'll get another judge on there. You continue to look at the now fully funding our military, where it had been decimated under the Obama administration. I think when you begin to look at this, we're getting ready to have even more work done on Tax 2.0, where we're actually going to take our tax cuts even further. We're actually looking at these things. I tell you, it's very simple for me in Georgia, and look, we've got a huge governor's race in Georgia. We've got a lot of things going on that we got to look at. Here's the point that I'd make to any Republican, any conservative out there who wants to vote for it. If you want to continue to move in the way of lowering taxes, lowering regulations, getting government off your back, moving away from 8 years of the Obama administration, if you like that, then that's what you need to continue on, and moving forward in what we've already accomplished. And to not do that is simply saying, or not go vote, or if somebody says, well, I just don't like where we're at, I won't go vote, then they're saying yes to Democrats winning and being higher taxes, more burden, more regulatory burden, and more government control. It's a very simple issue here. If you're a conservative, we have had major victories that we run on, that we look at, that we see that has actually helped the American vote. We see the economy booming. We see the stock market booming. We see job creation at an all-time high. At this point in time, Republican voters have a lot to be happy with. And the stark choice and the stark reality is, look at the Democrats. They're running everything from wildly socialist to back to traditional tax and spend Democrat policy. So to me, it's a very easy choice.
Your office, you've said this before, in one form or fashion, your office has some kind of communication with the White House almost on a daily basis. Somebody in the White House, maybe not directly the president every day. So let me ask you, as far as your office is concerned, have you guys ever witnessed or ever been seen something or heard something in the White House that resembles the chaos that the media tries to lead us to believe that the West Wing is?
No, we have a great working relationship with the White House and continue to see great things done. The president himself is the one that has a running battle with the media, and the media was not happy he won, and so they continue to keep it stirred up. We're continuing to get stuff done. It's sort of amazing to me, and I've thought about this many times, that if you just look back and just simply don't put a name attached to it and look at the accomplishments of the last 18 to 20 months of this Congress, and you compare that to what we've done, I mean, people would be saying, oh my God, those are great, that's great. And it's just simply the political environment we're in right now that is causing, folks to think that actually something's wrong. And I think when Republicans get together and play as a team and we work together to move the ball down the court, we do that, and we do it well. And I think what we've got to do is we got to quit the infighting with each other and make sure that we're supporting, what the president's looking at, what we're looking at, and we do that, then we win. And I think that's, anybody wants to get sidetracked on other, well, we could do better here, we could do better here. Yeah, there's always the possibility, but you also have to see the realities in which we're working in, and the president understands that. We understand that, and we're going to continue to work for it.
Congressman, our time is up. We know that your office said you had to move on. We appreciate you coming on, and we look forward to having you back on real soon, because we have a lot more questions as this election draws near.
Always good to talk to you, Brian. Y'all have a good one, okay?
Thank you, Congressman. You have a nice day. Okay, that is Congressman Doug Collins there, and you got to wish somebody, hope they have a nice day when they're in Washington, D.C. I mean, there's got to be, you never know if they're going to a restaurant and somebody's going to yell at them, attack them. I tell you, Maxine Waters, wow. Anyhow, that's Congressman Doug Collins. We're going to take a brief break. We're going to come back. We're going to take a little extended break here, and then we're going to come back and wrap the show up. So don't go away. We've got a lot more to talk about, and I want to highlight some things the Congressman said here. I laid some things out for him to give us some answers, and I want to double down on some of those answers when we come back from Congressman Doug Collins. Take us to break, Josh.